Hello gainers, I'm Ralphie and welcome to my channel called Fitter Philosophy, in which I discuss experience-based, practical, non-academic, stoic philosophy stuff. And my subject today is goodness. And this follows on from my previous video, which was called Do You Believe in Evil? Because we live in a material age and we are encouraged to view the age in which we live, and in this particular reference it's 2023 Earth time, and we're encouraged to regard ourselves as consumers and producers of economic activity, as taxpayers, and as ideally living according to social norms. And these norms are imposed on us through the education system and then later into working life, where we are sold very little for a lot of money, and we're encouraged to accept the dogma and not think too much about it. But the thing is that when we do start to think a little bit more about it, we start to look at the fundamentals, and we challenge this idea that evil is just a fashion accessory almost, and that it isn't something devastatingly destructive, not just to ourselves but to the people around us and to the global community. And it is, because the ancient books of wisdom, those that have been allowed to survive, show us that this is the case, and that if we develop what's called a moral compass, it will enhance not just our quality of life, but it will enhance our purpose for living to a higher level. And this, by the way, is hugely important, because if we refer to our purpose in life being that which is appointed to us by the social norms of the communities in which we live, it can be fairly superficial. But if we take responsibility for enhancing the value of our lives with our own points of reference, then we do find that we live a more substantial, richer and deeper life, and in doing so we actually prepare ourselves more successfully for the ongoing journey of life after we die to this world and are regenerated and move on. Our energy moves on into the next world, as it does from the previous world that we come from before we are born. And this may seem a little bit airy-fairy and yet a little bit subjective and a little bit sort of old-fashioned. However, when you actually look objectively at growing scientific evidence, which shows more and more not just anecdotal references, but real, tangible, solid, what's called empirical evidence, to show that there is evidence of life before birth and there is evidence of life after death. And you only have to examine, because of, and this is going beyond religious perspectives, which can be very, very constrained. Whatever, excuse me. It's summertime, so the insects are trying to bite my legs. Little brats. Where was I? The religious perspective of spirituality. It is made very easy accessible, and in many ways it removes the challenge of personal development, personal spiritual development. But goodness is right at the core of successful spiritual development, whether it be a Christian, Hindu, Muslim, Buddhist, Bahaist, our pagan perspective. Goodness is always something which is solid and quantifiable and universally understood, whatever people's language barriers. Good deeds speak for themselves. Good is the antithesis of the inward-looking negativity of evil. And evil is ultimately, for those who practice evil, is their own self-consumption of their soul. So that those who are evil, not only do they lose their lives at the end of their lives, they lose their soul in that it cannot transgress, or sorry, it can no longer transmit into the new reality. And this is why many hauntings and many bad spirits which still remain within our reality, manifested in the ether, which is real, they are stranded, they are stuck because they cannot move on. But they haven't been so evil that they've completely destroyed themselves into oblivion. And with good, the manifestation of good in good deeds, good thoughts and positivity, in understanding that when we look out into the universe, there are three constants, three absolute constants. There is light, and all light is required for life, and all life is required for love. And it is love that gives light its purpose and meaning. So this is the triptych of the sacred of the universe: light, life, and love. It's that simple, and yet it seems complicated. But when we even start to begin to embrace goodness and being good for its own sake, to embrace goodness, we discover that it is a superpower, because it manifests, it creates life. Whereas evil is so obvious in that it destroys itself, its own life, in the process, and therefore the ultimate reward of evil is its own oblivion. And the ultimate reward of goodness is to reach the source of the light of the universe itself, to be reconnected to the one great, what we could call a God, but in fact should be called a source, the source of all. And that is the purpose of goodness, summed up. To practice goodness, to believe in goodness, is to generate goodness. We can all do it, and it generates wealth, it generates positivity, it actually generates and manifests life itself. It is so powerful. So go explore, gainers, see what you find. I'm Ralphie, hope you've enjoyed this. We'll see you soon. Bye bye.